manager cannot survive. He cannot deal with it. He can't do it. He's out of his depth. He's lost the fans. He's lost the players. It's over. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or whatever, it's over. Never thought I'd say this about Bruno Fernandez. In fact, I countered Roy Keane, Gary Neville, and other people who said Bruno's a bad captain. I defended Garnacho against Ben Foster when he said to me 2 years ago, he's a problem. And I went, no, he's not. Well, they were right. And they're right again. This guy, I'm afraid, has become a massive problem at the football club.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well, having a nice weekend. So unfortunately, another defeat for Manchester United. Mark Goldbridge has obviously had some things to say. Gary Neville has also come out and had, his thoughts as well.
When you've got Mason Mount playing at left back, you're going to look pretty stupid. And that's happened twice now. It can't happen. The first time I thought was unforgivable. And yesterday it happened again.
Very interesting, okay, because number one, Mark Goldbridge is someone that's always defended Ruben Amorim. I don't think he's officially, gone to Ruben Amorim out, but always, defended Ruben Amorim. Always defended Bruno Fernandez, and it seems to me like he is finally, turning the tide. Gary Neville, I think for numerous different reasons, never really, asked for a manager to be sacked. I think for number one, that would be massively hypocritical because he was never ever criticized Ole, and wanted Ole to stay in charge. He defended him actually blindly at times. And number two, Gary Neville also was, not successful as a manager. So I think he, has sympathy for that reason. But make no mistake, I'm happy to see this because I think for too long now, Manchester United fans, not necessarily the media, but mainly Manchester United fans have been blindly backing Ruben Amorim, wanting him to succeed. And look, I want him to succeed as well. It does me no good, and I don't like making these videos saying that I want him out and get out of here. And I think it is quite sad to see a manager lose their job. And it gives me, no satisfaction to say that. Make no mistake, I think once it, does get to that point, I think you do have to say something and, just speak, basically, what you see. I would much rather be making a video saying, Ruben Amorim's doing great. We started the season off well. We're in the top 3. We're performing. We're scoring goals. The defense looks good. But that's not the case. Again, we're in the lower half of the bottom half of the table, and it's just not improving. I've got a stat in front of me right here. Ruben Amorim now has got 17 defeats in 33 Premier League games, 9 wins, 17 defeats, and 7 draws. I mean, that is just outrageous, really. Big Manchester United with 9 wins and 70 defeats and 7 draws. And I think time's up for Ruben Amorim. I think he's just not good enough. For me, again, I don't really like saying this, but I think Ruben Amorim, for me, he's actually not far off being an idiot. I think this guy is I think he's the worst. I think he's just terrible. I think if you look at that Chelsea match, we obviously won that game at home, but it almost felt like he was trying to sabotage the team. I think the entire fan base, even rival fans, would have said, you're up 2-0 at home. You're up a man as well. Chelsea got a man sent off. Casemiro's on a yellow card. Sub him out because that's the only thing that can go wrong. It was an accident waiting to happen. What a surprise. Casemiro gets a second yellow and gets sent off. So that was, mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, at halftime, you take off Sesko. So immediately we've got no outlet. We've got no one that can hold up that ball, and we're just, got pressure on us for, the rest of, the 90 minutes. Chelsea scored, and we actually almost, drew that game. And it was because of just, his substitutions are awful. Tactically, he's not good. And to me, just, someone that doesn't know what he's doing. I think from top to bottom, really, I think this comes down to in the summer transfer window, there was 90 million on the table for Bruno Fernandez. This is a Bruno Fernandez that I've said it numerous times is not good enough. I don't even think he's, I think there's question marks about him as a number 10. As a number 8, I mean, he's an absolute disaster. He can't tackle. He's constantly lost his runner. Against Fulham, that was 100% his fault. That goal that we conceded against Manchester City, that was his fault. He takes absolutely no responsibility and has the nerve after the match to come out and blame Lenny Yoro, a 19-year-old.
Lenny decides to come up. When I look at him, I see that he comes up, so I try to go a little bit more towards Rodri. Vardiol does a good pass to Foden, and Lenny was going backward.
So that's not captain material at all for me. He missed another penalty yesterday against Fulham. The referee accidentally bumps into him. He pretty much blames his penalty miss on that, which I thought was just baffling. He's been called out by ex-players now. I think half of the fan base is finally waking up to him. Roy Keane said not captain material. Paul Scholes said positionally he's all over the place. Craig Burley has also questioned him as a captain as well. He's been awful this season, not good enough. And there was £90 million on the table in the summer. For some reason, Ruben Amorim was one of the main ones that wanted to keep him. Not just that, you keep him, which again, these things don't make any sense. You keep Bruno Fernandez, and then you bring in 2 number 10s. So actually, we could have got rid of Bruno and used Cunha at the number 10, who for me, Cunha is, just as good, if not better, as Bruno Fernandez at a number 10. And then you could have used that 90 million to bring in 2 actual number 8s. But now we're actually using Bruno Fernandez out of position, in a position where he's, god awful at. So, look, it's all over the place. And I actually want to read something. It's actually from Henry Winter. He just said this on Twitter. And for me, this is bang on. It says, Ruben Amorim supporters argue that it is not the system that's at fault. It's individual players not doing their jobs or simply making mistakes. But the system clearly doesn't help. Forcing centre-backs like Harry Maguire to play a high line exposes his lack of pace, and he goes on. Bruno Fernandez is not a central midfielder. The defence looks exposed, not enough pace, too many gaps. The best managers adapt, work on their players' strengths. United's defence would look more secure as a back four of Mazraoui, De Ligt, Yoro, Shaw, shielded from 2 from Mainu, Ugarte, Casemiro. Ruben Amorim, and for me that's spot on, by the way. But Ruben Amorim again, he's not using Kobbie Mainoo. I think the big thing about Ruben Amorim, to me, he's very stubborn. The media is saying, why are you not using Kobbie Mainoo? So it seems like now he's making a point to not use Kobbie Mainoo. We've brought in a new goalkeeper. For some ridiculous reason, we're not using him. Even if this new goalkeeper, comes in and, gives away 1 or 2 goals a game, that's no worse than Bayinda. Bayinda for me is not good enough as a second or third string. I think he's absolutely awful. And as you saw on the weekend, 2 of those goals, in my opinion, were his responsibility. You've got Luke Shaw, you've got Harry Maguire, you've got Diogo Dalot in this leadership group. What is Dalot doing in that leadership group? You've actually got Tom Heaton in that group as well, yet you don't play him. I would like to see Tom Heaton above Altay Bayinda. I think Bayinda's rubbish. So it's going from bad to worse. And I think, time is up now, really. Again, I think Ruben Amorim does sometimes come off well. I think he's probably a nice guy. But look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid, as good as Xabi Alonso was at Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso, someone that was a brilliant player, played for Real Madrid, won a World Cup with Spain. Real Madrid fans, he's just got there, and already Real Madrid, and their fan base is starting to, to talk. So, look, for me, Ruben Amorim, the stats prove it. The performances prove it that he's not good enough. I don't think it's going to turn around. And again, I actually do think that there are some half-decent players there. I don't think you can look at Joshua Zirkzee and say he's a terrible player. I look at Sesko, I look at Cunha, I look at Mbumo. There are some decent players there. I think Lenny Yoro, is a young player that can, build upon. I don't think De Ligt's world class, but I think there's, a decent player there as well. I think Dorgu's not bad. I think you can get a tune out of Ugarte. I don't think Ugarte is a world beater, but I think Ugarte in his prime could be maybe like an Ander Herrera. I think Kobbie Mainoo's on the bench. He's a good player. I think you can get something out of Mason Mount. So there are some half decent players there. I don't think we're, squad wise a 15th place team. I don't see that. So look, those are my thoughts. Obviously, a bit of a rant from me today. But look, it's very, very disappointing. I woke up early in the morning, for that match on Saturday. And if you see effort, if you see, some team camaraderie, if you see a half decent performance and, courage and things like that, then you can, maybe forgive it a little bit. But I saw none of that. I see a team of individuals, I see a captain just, running around blaming everyone. And it's a mess. It's a mess. And for me, the manager needs to be changed. So as always, thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.